Let's get ready to rumble!
He's taken another one, and Howard Foster has stopped it!
This is Thomas Lyons from Raps on TV, Sunday evening, joined by Anthony Yarde's manager and trainer, Mr. Tunde Ajayi. How's everything going, Tunde?
How you doing, my man?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Appreciate you giving me the time, obviously. I know time's a constraint when you're in camp, and obviously your commitments elsewhere with the thriving Peacock Gym stable. Just to sort of introduce you to the platform, Tunde, before I go on to talk about Anthony's progression in the professional ranks, a lot of sort of debate has been going on about level of opponent. There's a lot of critics out there that like to sort of dissect Anthony's resume. Obviously, he's only had a handful of amateur fights and 17 pro fights. So just talk to me about how you were first introduced to Anthony and making that transition over to the paid ranks.
Well, some may know Anthony was an amateur very shortly. He had a very short career.
Yeah.
You know, he came into the amateur ranks with his trainer, the great man Tony Cisse, the one and only Tony Cisse, who's actually with us today. You know, he's a instrumental part in our team. And I would say for the last 15 months of 12 to 15 months of Anthony's amateur career, I was training him. You know, in that time, I think he only had one fight because nobody wanted to fight.
Yeah.
And it seems like, you know, that just followed us into the pro ranks. But, you know, everything is timing. And I guess if you put up a few quid, so that you know, it can change people's minds at times. But we're not worrying about that. You know, the main thing for myself is that Anthony gets better every day, progresses every day, and uses his time wisely, and he has done that.
Yeah, and I think that mindset that you carry over into the gym, I mean, a lot of interviews that you guys have done for various outlets, and I mean, you guys obviously appreciate all the exposure and the time to be able to sort of talk through what the boxing industry is all about and talking about those marquee fights, those marquee names on the domestic scene. But with the Stamina for Sale ethos that you guys have incorporated into the gym, just talk to me a little bit about that, because we don't really see sort of the, you know, what's behind closed doors and how that ethos has transpired onto Anthony's career.
Yes, well, basically, I mean, some know, and I hope more know after the recent article they done on myself and the team and the system and in this month's Boxing Monthly. You know, I created a system, you know, System 9 Boxing, and it's actually a learning base for any fighter that joins the Stamina for Sale team.
Yeah.
It's an infinite system. A fighter will never master my system, being that it's infinite. And, you know, just on those bases, we're not really watching nobody, because we've always got something to learn and we've always got something to improve on. And like I said from the beginning, the biggest room is the room for improvement. So regardless of what anyone says or thinks, my mindset, Anthony's mindset, Bilal Ali's mindset, who you will soon see, Ali Yinka's mindset, and the whole team, his mindset is improvement, one of improvement. That's all we're interested in.
Yeah.
You know, the fights will look after themselves, and our main thing is being ready.
Yeah, and I think that's that's an interesting point, because I mean, collectively you guys have all sort of bounced off each other in the gym. You all share the same energy, the same positivity. And obviously your role as manager and trainer, it must be sort of not a countervailing balance, but a balance that, you know, you've got to talk to Frank about the fights that Anthony may have. Obviously you've been offered numerous world title shots, but obviously with timing, with the way you're trying to manage Anthony's career at a slow pace, but steady pace, then is that sort of the way you feel that these fights will obviously handle themselves, but the fact that you want to take Anthony up through the levels, but at a reasonable pace at the moment?
Well, the first part of your question, which I'll answer, is that it isn't numerous. It's 2.
Yeah.
We've had 2 world titles.
But in perspective, with the way Anthony's, if you look through his resume since he won the Southern Area title against Chris Hobbs, you've got Baranyi,
Yes.
Nemesis Partey, Sagloka, and so on.
Yes.
To be offered, I know you said there 2 world title shots, and those were to, I believe, Artur Beterbiev and Bivol. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, like you said, those are the elite level fighters, and with Anthony's experience, you kind of have to put into perspective with the way Anthony's career's gone.
Yes, well, another correction. It was Arthur Beterbiev on Kovalev, not Bivol.
Okay.
So we need to get some facts here, right, man?
Yeah, of course.
So, and also, it's not a case of rushing Anthony's career. It's about putting things into perspective and making the right fights for him from a managerial standpoint at the right time.
Yeah.
He's to this day, I don't know what the criticism is over his opponents, but I guess you're always gonna, life is polarities, up,
Yeah.
down, left, right, positive, negative. So you're always gonna have an opposite side to any kind of situation you're in.
Yeah,
but
course.
if you look carefully at the opponents Anthony's had, it has been a steady progression up until this point. And I used to get kind of upset about it, but I don't really now, because all it is that you just take your fingers, go on a computer, an iPhone or iPad, and go into BoxRec and look at the rankings of the fighters we're fighting. Take into example the last opponent, Walter Sakira.
Yep.
He's ranked higher than any British opponent other than Callum Johnson to that point. And Callum Johnson, we all know, failed bravely in his challenge for the world title against a guy that
you've been offered the fight with.
We were offered. But let's look at it. Callum Johnson, a professional for 10 years, a Commonwealth Games gold medalist.
Yeah.
A whole lot of experience gets stopped by Arthur Beterbiev in the 4th round. So I don't see why there should be such a rush for a 12-fight amateur novice. And let's get this right. I'm not saying we're ducking anybody or running from anyone.
Yeah.
I know Andy could beat any of them right now. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I know what I see in the gym. I've been in the world's best gym. I've been around Manny Pacquiao in California. I was there for 3 years. I've been in Las Vegas around Floyd for 6 camps. I know what I'm looking at and what I see and what I'm dealing with Anthony Yarde every day. And call it a boastful statement, but I just know. It's just my belief. And the fact that we are where we are in such a short space of time speaks volumes.
Yeah.
But then I'm not going to just take it as a kamikaze situation, because how many fighters in the last couple of months, British fighters, have fought for world title and lost every single one?
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of look at the not even the light heavyweight scene, I know Callum Johnson probably didn't.
In boxing, British fighters fighting for world title over the last few months, we have not won one contest.
Yeah, well, Callum Smith probably is an exception for that, but obviously he was
Smith
part.
George Groves, who's British.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about, come on, man. It's facts here.
Yeah.
I don't get emotional. I just talk facts, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I don't get emotional. I talk facts. Callum Smith is a great fighter.
Yeah.
Let me not throw that word around lightly. Callum Smith is a good fighter. He beat George Groves, who's a good fighter.
Yeah.
But they're both British. Now, if you talk about British fighters who have fought guys who are not from Britain in world title, tell me how many they've won.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know because
because it's facts.
Yeah, it's facts.
It's facts. So, as I say, when Anthony Yarde fights for the world title, not only are we winning it, but keeping it for a very long time.
Yeah.
I just feel that I'm making the right decisions for my fighter, for the guy that I see every day, for the guy that I look after. Now, maybe it's rare for a trainer to take this kind of stance or protection or precaution or whatever you want to call it over the fighter, but it's just the relationship I have with Anthony. And if it's unique, if it's rare, then so be it. But it's going to go the way Tunde Ajayi says it's going to go. And make no mistake about it, because I've said it from the start. Myself and Anthony, we work very hard. You know, Anthony Yarde is the only boxer ever to get a global deal with Adidas.
Yeah.
The only one ever.
And they don't hand out a lot of deals like that, do they? Particularly for athletes.
Let's put in perspective. Prince Nazim got a UK deal.
Yeah.
Naz, the great one and only Naz. So Anthony Yarde has got a global deal. If I had been a hurry come up, as they say where I come from, if I was a person who rushed a young man's career, who I keep repeatedly saying is very inexperienced, we may not have got that deal. We may not have got the Foot Asylum deal. We may not have got the Maxi Muscle deal.
Yeah.
So I've strategically gone about, you know, managing Anthony's career in the way what I feel is best for him. Because trainers, managers, we have many careers. Fighters have one career.
Yeah.
And I'm a fighter. And maybe that's why I do the things I do for Anthony. Because I look at myself as a fighter. And I'm always going to put Anthony first before myself. So let's get that right.
Yeah, of course.
I'm putting Anthony Yarde before Tunde Ajayi.
Yeah.
So, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, 100%.
I love business, because we're 17-0, 17 wins and 16 knockouts.
Yeah.
Nikolai Cicloca fought Callum Smith. Callum Smith never knocked him out.
No, he put up a valiant effort.
Nikolai Cicloca fought Arthur Abraham.
Yeah.
Chris Eubanks Jr. never stopped Arthur Abraham.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So, and the common denominator, or the common fact in all of this is the reason why Anthony's doing this is not because of experience, it's because of education.
Yeah, 100%.
And the education is System 9 boxing. It's what Anthony comes to every day, plus his own meticulous study. Anthony Yarde is a student of the game. And this is why you will never find myself or Anthony disrespecting any boxers or calling out any boxers, because we know how hard it is.
Yeah.
We know how hard we work, and we just enjoy that. You see the Instagram posts. You see the fun we're having.
Yeah,
we're having fun. We're enjoying our journey, and my advice to anyone is you better watch yourself.
Yeah.
Because we ain't watching nobody. And let me tell you something. When it's time to fight, it's turn up, show up, blow up, lions in the camp. So whoever it is, whoever's got that belt, when it's time for us to make the step that everybody wants, they better be ready. Because I'm a fighter by heart. I'm his manager, but I'm a fighter. So you're fighting two people. You're not just fighting me, you're fighting me as well.
Yeah. And
so I don't want people to know that.
Yeah. And that leads me on to my next question, Tunde, because I wanted to, with the whole progression, the systematic process that you guys are going through with Anthony's career, I just wanted to ask, I can't ask you for his opinion on it, but I mean, from your perspective and looking at Anthony's diligence and dedication to the sport, what is his sole motivation at this stage of his career? Is it the aspirations to fight for world titles? Is it learning on the job? Is it the buzz in the gym that kind of gets him up in the morning, gets him on the roads? What is the motivation at the moment, if you could sort of narrow it down to one thing?
Well, I put out a video, we put out a video on Anthony himself a while back, a few years back.
Yeah.
And Anthony said in that video, my aspirations are big in boxing. To be a pay-per-view star, to break numbers and go down as one of, if not the best ever to do it. My aspiration as a trainer is to train and manage the best ever in the sport of boxing, a pay-per-view star, and one that's going to go down with myself as the best fighter and the best trainer and manager in the sport. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And
and that's why me and Anthony, we vibrate on the same frequency so well, because he's got his own individual goals, I've got my own individual goals, and the two of us are going in the same direction. So when you hear Tunde Ajayi speak, you may listen to Andy and say, hold on, did he just hear what Tunde Ajayi said? Or vice versa. But the honest truth is, there is no rehearsal with the way we speak. We're just on the same level, and we both want the same things in boxing. And it doesn't refer or confer, or it's not about one person or one fighter.
Yeah.
It's whoever's there the time when it's going to happen, because we're not in control of the reaping part of life. We're only in control of the sowing part of life, and the sowing part of our life is work, and that's what we do.
Yeah. And what is the sequence for Anthony's next steps? I mean, you've got the British scene, the likes of Hosea Burton, Joshua Buatsi, numerous fighters like we touched on there, Callum Johnson. And I know you've been very honest about sort of the way you feel with Anthony, your connection with trainer-fighter, and the belief that you've ingrained in yourself, in the Stamina for Sale ethos, in the gym, the likes of Ade. You know, there's all sort of a structure there that everyone takes on upon a responsibility with Anthony's career. So what is the sequence? Is it to surpass the British scene, or is it to sort of, when the fight materialises, to take the most efficient fight at the moment?
Well, it's always going to be what's best for us. But just to touch on the British thing.
Yeah.
We were number one with the WBO. But, we're now number two. Maybe that's a good thing, because, I mean, I didn't phone up the WBO president and tell him to put us number one.
Yeah.
And I didn't phone up the IBF president and tell him to put us number 5.
Yeah.
Maybe someone did. I don't know. I don't know. But the fact is, we are where we are. Now, not fighting for a British title or fighting British fighters at this present moment in our career, I'm asking you that question. Do you think that's going to stop us being world champions?
No, because I believe that if you've earned the right to go up the rankings, I mean, like you said, it speaks for itself. The governing bodies nowadays, they don't hand rankings out for any particular reason, and especially with British fighters, they've got to earn their way up the rankings. And I think because Anthony has earned his spot, he's picked up the 2 belts, the 2 WBO belts. And I think from a journalist perspective, a lot of journalists want to be partial, but I'd rather just be honest and say that, Anthony has had a bit of criticism, but why should he be criticised for having a resume of opponents that have proven to compete at world level? And he has proven himself to be among the mix. He hasn't had the fights that have elevated him, but he's working his way towards a world title, I believe.
Exactly. Another point to buttress what you just said.
Yeah.
Did Frank Bruno fight for a British title?
No.
Did Nigel Benn fight for a British title?
No.
Did Prince Nazim fight for a British title?
No. So yeah, I see the relationship between. Yeah.
Did Chris Eubanks Senior fight for a British title?
No.
There you go.
Yeah.
But those names, you could literally go on any street corner in any road in Britain and say, do you know who these guys are? Or have you heard of these guys? And resoundingly, the answer would be, of course I know Naz. Of course I've heard of Naz. Of course I've heard of Chris Eubanks.
Yeah.
Of course I've heard of Nigel Benn.
Because they're marquee names. Yeah.
So again, it'd be great to have that Lonsdale belt. We're British, so it's great to have that Lonsdale belt. And who knows? Howard Eastman was was dominant fighter. in these shows for years. But when he won the British, nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
It wasn't until he lost against William Joppy and Bernard Hopkins for the world title, he came back and fought his friend, the great Richard Williams, my friend, for the British title. But nobody wanted to fight him, Howard.
Yeah.
So he came back down that level. Liam Smith, let's bring it to modern days. Liam Smith of the Smith brothers.
Yeah.
People were calling him out on the British level when he had fought for the world. He said, listen, I'm gone past that level.
Yeah.
I've gone past that level. But then when he lost against Canelo, he's come back down and fought Leon Williams twice.
And that's fringe world level.
And that's fringe world level. So it's not that these fights won't happen. It's just that when someone has worked so hard to put themselves in a position, you just don't look back.
Yeah.
You don't. Everybody's got to be looking forward to the guy that's up there. And in this case, it was Liam Smith. Liam Smith was the man.
Yeah.
But he had to say, you know what? I've come up short in world title fights, even the other day with Mungaya, and he's come back down and he's fight British, and then, hopefully he can work his way back up into the position. So it's not really I don't want to fight someone scenario. It's just, where are you in the whole landscape of boxing?
Yeah.
And I just feel that we weren't given these positionings for nothing. We've worked hard. I say it over and over again. Nobody is given nothing. That's why it's called stamina for sale. Because you have to pay for it. You have to earn it. And we've obviously done something right, because in all the 1,081 boxers licensed or on BoxRecs in the light heavyweight division, go and check the rankings.
Yeah.
Go, and I can, if I wanted to, start talking about opponents that other British fighters have fought, but then that would be taking my attention from Anthony and focusing on somebody else, and we've never done that.
Yeah, and I don't think...
That's just not our pattern. We don't do things like that.
Yeah, and I don't think you can compare resumes between fighters that are relevant in the same division. It's useful to look at fighters like you mentioned, Sikera's ranking. You mentioned Sagloka challenging at world level, but also the fact that, like you said, there's a traditional route that some fighters go. They go Southern area, they go Commonwealth, British. But then Anthony's direction has been the complete opposite, but it's been effective towards your plans.
And not only that, there are many good fighters who you never hear about.
Yeah.
There are many good fighters who you never hear about, because boxing is I always say this, boxing is a sport when you see a man become successful, please just enjoy the man, enjoy the moment, enjoy his success.
Yeah.
Because every fighter in boxing, or let me just simplify, in British boxing, knows how hard this game is. I was talking to a young man who I won't call his name, and he was telling me, Unks, T. Unks is like, I ain't getting a chance, I ain't getting an opportunity. These fucking, I'm swearing.
No, that's okay.
So it's like this game is, this game is full of this, that, and I'm like, my man, never talk bad about boxing.
Yeah, of course.
Don't do that. Don't disrespect the sport. Don't disrespect the sport you say you love.
Yeah, of course.
Keep on working hard, focus on the positive, and believe me, I'm living proof that hard work brings results, because I've never focused on the negatives in boxing, in this sport. Go and check my record. Go and see the bad things people have said about me over the years. Yeah. But guess what?
It doesn't matter.
But guess what? They're writing articles about me on Boxing Monthly. And also, I'm training I'm training the most exciting prospect in boxing. Period.
Yeah.
So I don't care about negativity. I'm all about positivity. And I say that for every fighter. I don't have nothing. How can you say anything bad about Anthony Joshua? It makes me laugh. Yeah, of course.
But then I think as well the narrative nowadays is that people can so easily go on social media. They can get too bogged down in wanting to criticize fighters. But yes. I mean, from an honest perspective, I don't think I've ever had a bad word to say about a fighter in terms of, because I appreciate that boxing is a grassroots sport. It's a sport that isn't about spotlight. You see, obviously, Mayweather, with his fame, but Mayweather had to start from somewhere. He didn't just get handed an Olympic bronze medalist, or he didn't get or silver medalist. Sorry, correct me. And he didn't, he didn't make that transition.
No,
then
actually, it was bronze.
Bronze, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Catching me out. No, but but I mean, like, it is a grassroots sport, and Anthony's, come up the hard way, and he's not until now had the exposure. Like a lot of fighters, the likes of Lomachenko, they've obviously earned their stripes in the amateurs. They've had 500, 400 fights, and then when they do turn professional, they are given that that exposure and that platform too.
Listen, things take time.
Yeah.
Tony Bellew deserved everything he's got in boxing. He earned it.
Yeah.
He earned it. Anthony Corolla, they call him the Ryan Giggs of boxing. Not because he is Ryan Giggs, but because for 10 years, he's worked hard. He had 2 losses against Gary Sykes. Who remembers Gary Sykes?
Not a lot of people.
Exactly, unless you're boxing people.
Yeah.
Who remembers Al Hamidi?
Yeah. Hardcore boxing fans, yeah.
Anthony Corolla lost to Al Hamidi.
Yeah.
But yet, he became a world champion.
Yeah.
He's now again on the fringe of fighting for another world title. So this is how boxing works. And I'm not trying to use this as no alibi, because at the end of the day, I keep saying it, and I've said it in interviews. I'm from the road. I love fighting. Me, that's what I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
I'm a trainer. I'm a manager. I'm a thinker. But I love fighting.
Yeah.
And the people are gonna get the fights. People like Dylan White. These people know me. I come from a place where it's fighting. So I love fighting. The core of me, the inside of me is fighting, and I get it. I understand people may be frustrated. It may appear, but you know what that is? That's because Anthony's making it look easy.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. If Anthony was in the same position he was in blood baths, in wars, people wouldn't be saying what they were saying.
Yeah.
They'll be looking for another thing. But it's because we're making it look easy. But I keep on saying boxing is not easy.
Yeah.
You revise and then you take the exam. The exam is easy based on how hard you revise. So it's obvious Anthony and myself have worked diligently and hard, and we've put ourselves in a position where when we come to take the exam, it looks easy, but it's not easy. Everyone tells you get back what you put in. It's just a basic of life, And I know the people want the fights. They're gonna get them. if the others keep doing what they're supposed to do, it's inevitable. The fights have to happen, because guess what? Anthony Yard, Tunde Ajayi, you come to the gym any day, 7 days a week, you're going to see us there.
Yeah.
And so we're going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning, and then if the others do what they're supposed to do and they keep winning, then the fights are going to happen. That's just simple maths. Simple maths is going to happen. We're excited, man. It's a journey, and I'm happy that companies, global companies like Adidas and Foot Asylum and Maxi Muscle are behind us. They see the vision that I've had, that Anthony's got, and they're supporting us. And it's great for everybody. It's great for everybody. We're very accessible. That's one thing about us. Any interviewer can pick up the phone to me at any time. Speak to me. You can do the same with Andy. We're just that kind, because we're enjoying the journey just like everybody else. Yeah,
and I think as well it's refreshing to have different interviews that cover different things. But touching on the grassroots element today, and excluding all the the sponsorship deals that Anthony's had with Foot Asylum, Adidas, the spotlight that surrounds Anthony now because he's on the BT Sports banner. He's the sort of the face of BT Sports boxing alongside Fury, Saunders, the likes of those fighters. But
Yes.
do you believe that Anthony's a product of his environment? Do you believe he's a product of the gym? And do you believe that what you guys learn in the gym reflects Anthony's character as a man, not even just a boxer, but as a man?
When you say a product of the gym,
yeah,
what do you mean? The fact that we're in a particular gym and that's why he's producing? I don't understand that. Simplify that question.
Yeah, as what I mean by a product of the gym is I don't mean sort of the work that you guys do in the gym, but you hear a lot of backstories of fighters walking into a gym and then they're made accessible to a certain trainer, or they pick up a love and passion for the sport. Do you feel that Anthony's always known boxing as his forte, to say? Do you think that's what has always been ingrained into Anthony, is the ability to fight and to train?
No, it don't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Anthony is got genetic gifts. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
As they say in East London, he's a unit.
Yeah. He is a unit.
He's a unit. He could have been anything in terms of sports.
Yeah.
He could have been a rugby player. He could have been an American football player. He could have been a footballer.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, he was always good at fighting. And then one day he said, within his own mind, I'm going to take this serious. He went home, he told his mum. His mum said, okay, but you're not going to have no fights.
Yeah.
But because of he made the decision that he wanted to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Now, hundreds and thousands of people make that decision, but only a few really mean it.
Yeah.
Anthony didn't look for the trainer. Serendipity, luck, a bit of luck, whatever you want to call it, he found the right trainer.
Yeah.
He found a person that had the same mindset as him. As I said, when I came into boxing, people were talking about the fighter needs to rest. I'm not on the resting business. This is an art. Boxing is an art. I developed a system. You got to work every day of your life.
Yeah.
You got to make boxing that like you're brushing your teeth. Now, Anthony's got that mindset. That's what, when people ask me what is it about Anthony, I told them the same answer. He's got the mindset. He's obsessed with progression. He wants to get better, and that's all I need. Me as a trainer, that's all I need, because I'm obsessed with progression.
Yeah.
I get up every day and try to master the system that I created, which I know is impossible because there's just too much material.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you get a fighter that wants to be the best and wants to keep on learning, and when you got a manager and trainer that wants to be the best and keep on learning, then it's easy work.
Yeah.
Not that it is easy, but you have something to work on. And I just feel that we could have been like this in any place. We could have been like this in the streets of East London or anywhere. So I don't really think environment plays a part in Anthony's success. That's why I said to you, that's why I asked you the question, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What is instrumental to Anthony and myself is he wants to do it.
Yeah.
He wants to do it. He wants to be the best. And that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, and it is what it is at this present moment. And it's going to be like this. It's going to continue. Go back and watch the interviews. I'm not just talking like this now.
No, I know. I've seen it.
Go back before I started training Anthony.
Yeah.
Go back and watch those interviews 10 years ago of me. Go back and watch the training videos 10 years ago of me.
Yeah.
I've never changed. I'm doing the same work then as I'm doing now with Anthony. So it's like this was meant to be. This was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I just feel that me and Andy, we don't rest on our laurels. We always want to get better. I mean, last night we was at our friend's house.
Yeah.
We were watching the Bellew fight. As fans and as students, and I said certain things while the fight was going on, and they was like, "Bah, Tun, like, how did you see that?" And I'm like, "I lived this game."
Yeah.
I study boxing. I watch every movement. And Anthony, you see him, he put on his Insta. He wanted Tony to win so much. He's like, come on, Tony. Like, we're fans. You understand? And I say, these are the things what set Anthony apart.
Yeah.
He's a fan of boxing. Anthony Yarde is a fan of boxing. Anthony Yarde wants to be great, but you know what? He wants other people to do well as well.
Yeah, of course.
And that shines through in his personality, in everything.
Yeah.
You know, you have to force yourself to think bad about Anthony Yarde.
Well, yeah, because from a everyday standpoint, no one's gonna get you out of bed in the morning. No one's gonna dress you. No one's gonna, brush your teeth. It's got to be a system where you do carry that mindset into your discipline. And Anthony's chosen boxing as his priority.
That's it.
And I think as well, just I know, Tunde, you were saying about the product of the environment thing was maybe a little bit irrelevant to the stage that Anthony's got himself to. But I think what I meant was you were talking about Anthony's grown up in East London. He's from Stratford.
Yes.
He's not to prejudice or not to sort of jump to any conclusions, but East London, any part of London nowadays gets that reputation. A lot of people come from hardship. A lot of I know Anthony's been an advocate of knife crime, the epidemic that's been there, and he's been an ambassador for the likes of box up crime. I've seen certain things that he's trying to emulate that will bring the next generation away from that life of violence. And sometimes, from my perspective, I believe that some people are grown up into an environment where they can't control what's in their surroundings. There's a lot of social exclusion. There's a lot of lack of infrastructure. There's a lot of lack of community service, a lot of community-based centres that kind of give kids of a young age the opportunity to drift away from that, that loophole that gives them a different perspective from that life that maybe they've been accustomed to. But what I mean was, I know I'm rambling on with this question, but
no, it's very interesting, and it's great for me to hear a young man like yourself, firing questions and like this. So carry on.
Because none of these questions are scripted. I've not written any questions down. I want to have a conversation where it's off the cuff, because knife crime to me is I'm a very passionate advocate for tackling knife crime. I'm from North London myself, so I know exactly what's been going on with the whole epidemic. But from this interview is not about me, it's about Anthony's career, but his the way he's tackled that, the way he's been an ambassador. Do you feel that the discipline he's got from his environment has carried on into boxing, is what my question was trying to outline?
Well, the answer to your question is, you don't try to affect your environment.
Yeah.
You affect yourself.
Yeah, it's a very...
Affecting yourself affects your environment. I teach everyone around me.
Yeah.
Stop looking on the outside. Concentrate on the inside.
Yeah, of course.
You affecting you affects others. That's what Anthony's done. That's what Anthony's doing. That's what Tunde Ajayi has done. That's what Tunde Ajayi is doing. I don't focus on the outside. I wouldn't look in the mirror and try to change the picture I see in the mirror. I would try to change my inside, and that would change the picture or the image I see on the outside. So that's my message to the young ones out there. Focus on yourself. Try to be the best person you can be.
Yeah.
That's what Anthony Yarde has done. It makes me laugh. Some people come and like, y'all want to be like Anthony. Well, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, put on your tracksuit bottom or whatever clothes you have, go for a run.
Yeah.
Come back from the run, come to the gym. And guess what? If you do that consistently over a protracted period of time, there's a good chance you won't never be Anthony Yarde, but whoever you are, you'll be the best version of that person. So that's the message. That's what I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
And Anthony, whether he says it or not, that's what he puts out there. You hear Anthony say it all the time. You hear me say it all the time. I'm not watching nobody. It's obvious by focusing on ourselves, we've affected others. That's why you're phoning me.
Yeah, of course.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's why people are phoning Anthony. That's why global companies are investing in Anthony, because this young man has concentrated on being the best person he can be. And in so doing, he's affected others. I've been saying this for 20 years.
Yeah.
Stop looking on the outside to make a change. Focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Be the best Thomas you can be.
Yeah.
And that's how you affect change in not only your community, but in the world. You know, and that's it. And we show people via social media, which some people think is not good, but social media plays its part, because you can affect people in numbers. You understand? And I feel that's what Anthony's done with this whole knife crime and gun culture and everything like that. People now can say, you know, from the ends, as we call it, people can say, that's my guy, Anthony. That's my guy. Anthony does it. He's a friend of my cousin, or, you know, in the hood, everybody's family.
Yeah, of course.
So, you understand what I'm saying? So you'd be like, yeah, Anthony done it. I can do it.
Yeah.
That's the motivation. That's why when I was given an award, that's what I said. I said, when I came into boxing, there were people like Mark Prince, Spencer Fearon. These people were in boxing before me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can do that. You understand? I can be as good as them. You know, those guys, I look up to those guys. But I'm like, I can do it myself. But if they didn't do it for themselves, there would have been no one for me to look up to. So this is what we need to get out there.
Yeah.
We need to get out there that individuals need to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they would affect others. It's not only the boxing fraternity that look up to Anthony Yarde. It's the normal man, woman, and child in the streets that are getting inspiration from Anthony Yarde.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of person I've always wanted to. I don't like to use the word produce or nothing like that, because you only affect yourself, you know. But that's always the kind of person that I've always wanted to train. And for 20 years, I can honestly say that I was wanting it for the other person more than I was wanting it for myself.
Yeah.
So in 2016, when I was like, you know what, the person I affect is myself, to just keep on being the best, then lo and behold, you know, things started to change.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. That's the message. Focus on yourself. Anthony Yarde focuses on himself. That's why you always hear me say, I'm in the Anthony Yarde business. Anthony Yarde is the person that I've chosen to put all my eggs into. I don't train no other fighter.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's not a lottery with me. It's not a lottery. I'm not a trainer that's operating a lottery service where there's 15. I train 15 fighters. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
No.
It's great because it gives you something to do. But you know, I just believe that I've created a system, and you know, it's a winner. It's a winner's mentality.
Yeah.
Ade Odeyinka, I've said that his sole motivation, application, demonstration must be Bilal Ali.
Yeah.
And you're going to see what's going to happen there. You know?
Yeah.
And that's it, really. You know, my thing is to motivate everyone to be the best versions of themselves. And Anthony's ethos is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell him I don't need to direct him on anything. He's a man who has all it is, Anthony trusts me. You know, he trusts me to make certain decisions for him. Regardless, Anthony wants to fight.
Yeah.
I've said it before. When we was offered the Callum Johnson fight, I showed Anthony the email, and he was like, "What? Let's back him up, man. let's do that." And I was like, "And relax.
Yeah.
Relax. You understand?
Yeah.
This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
I want you to go down as a legend, and that." Floyd Mayweather is a legend because his career was 20 years.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali's a legend because he had a long career.
Yeah, 1 million percent.
Lennox Lewis is a legend. Manny Pacquiao, these guys are legends. Roy Jones Jr., the guys what we all know, Mike Tyson, these guys have long careers.
Yeah.
This ain't gonna be no 3-year, 4-year career. At minimum, it should be 10 years.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that trajectory or that, in that perspective, Anthony's not even halfway in that 10-year journey.
Yeah.
It's a long time to go. Everything is timing. You know what I say all the time.
Yeah.
Everything is timing. Everything is timing. Everybody will get what they want. If it's big fights they want, they'll get the big fights. But they'll get the big fights at the right time. And I'll say it here. It doesn't matter what anyone says in terms of negativity, in terms of you're not fighting this, I don't business about all that. Where you just need to look at his career, take a magnifying glass and look at the opponents. Waters Carrera is a tough Argentinian.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows about boxing, Argentinians don't come to lay down. Floyd Mayweather's hardest fights were against Argentinians.
Yeah. No, that 1 million percent.
Go check the record. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just that we're making it look easy. That's the only reason why. But it's not easy. These guys, Sakura cancelled a fight he had to fight Anthony Yarde. He was ready.
Yeah.
He told the people that he was going to attack Anthony Yarde's body because he's weak. I don't know where he got that from, but
yeah,
it never worked. And our thing is just keep on working. I'm happy for Anthony. Anthony's not really the talker the way I am, but I'm the talker because I've been saying it. I'm not changing. Anthony knows about me. Sometimes Anthony drops his eyes and goes, so why did he say that? You understand?
Yeah.
But this is what I'm trying to say about Anthony. He respects Tunde Ajayi for Tunde Ajayi. He's not trying to change me because he knows I will never try to change Anthony Yarde. And that's where this great partnership is. That's where it is. We just want to be the best of ourselves.
Yeah.
You understand? And being the best of ourselves is what? Now you're seeing just a little bit of what we produce in such a short space of time.
Yeah. And that breakdown is completely spot on because the God's honest truth is there is two recurring themes with what you've just said there about Anthony's progression. It's got to be patience.
Yes.
And 2 has got to be longevity.
Yes.
They're the two themes that when I look at Anthony's career, when I look at the even just watching his fights, I know not a lot of us are in the flesh with, we go to the gym and we watch Anthony 7 days a week like you do.
Yes.
We watch it on the TV, we get our opinions from that. But also the fact is, those two principles of longevity and patience it's shown in his fights. You watch his fights, you see the way he executes the jab, you see the way that he breaks fighters down, works the body, his volume of shots. It's all a patient system that you've obviously implemented.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and that's what stands you in good stead when you start challenging these guys, because it's like I said. Looking at the fight yesterday, one thing I said about Europeans, when I went and watched Bivol in the flesh, when I watched Usyk yesterday for the first time in the flesh, everybody waxed lyrical about how great they are and everything, but they're not that good. I'm just being, when I say that, I'm not saying they're not. There's no special effects.
No.
They're not Roy Jones. They're not Floyd Mayweathers. The European fighters are good at doing the basics for a long period of time.
100%.
And that's why, if you look at the Bellew fight, he didn't do nothing different from round 1 to round 8. He was just consistent at doing it.
Yeah.
And by round 4, that mental energy had zapped Tony Bellew. Usyk was just consistent. But fair play to Tony. He's the people's champion. He's a man that puts everything on the line and puts his heart on the line, and he don't shortchange the fans. But this is boxing, and I've said it from day one. Boxing is a thinking man's game.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like you've just mentioned there, the European fighters, they're notorious for being, tough as nails, being able to do the basics right. But when I look at Anthony, I think he's got shades of certain fighters that have that fluidity, they have that patience, and that's just being honest. I think he's got shades of Pernell Whitaker in him. I think he's got shades of Mayweather in him. And I think Mike Tyson. I think
Roy
there's
Jones.
Yeah.
I said it from the start. Go and watch the first ever BT interview. I said it, and now people ain't got no choice but to watch it, dream it, believe it, become it. I said it, and he's just getting better and better. And I'm talking it. Some people don't like the talk. Most people, I guess, I don't know if some people like it or some. I don't really know. But all I'm saying is that this is Tunde Ajayi. I'm not changing who I am. It's just a fact.
Yeah, of course.
I would never take. Everybody that knows me, I've been like this from school because I ain't done no one no wrong. I'm not Robert. I'm not disrespecting anyone else's. I'm just telling you what I believe in.
Yeah.
And Tunde Ajayi, believe Anthony Yarde is gonna go down as the greatest ever fighter to come out of these shores. Yeah. I just believe it in my heart, and that's my belief. Nobody else has to believe it. That's just the honest truth. But Anthony knows that the person that's in his corner has 100% faith in him, and as a fighter, what more would you want?
Yeah.
To know that the man that you're walking to the ring with, the man that is giving you instructions in the corner, believes in you 100%. That's our story. That's what's going to be written about when our careers are over.
Yeah.
That this team is special. Me and Anthony, we're going down in the history books. I'm telling you, Thomas, we're going down in the history books. Whether you like it or lump it.
I believe it. No, God's honest truth. I'm not interviewing you to be like, right, I've got to succumb to Tunde and what. I believe every word of it. I believe every word of it. I feel that I just think the energy that comes from the gym. I think the it's not even the energy. I think it's the sort of the plan.
Energy, Tom. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
Let me give you a bit of history, a little science here. It's all energy. It's all energy.
Yeah.
When you go and watch Floyd Mayweather, the fighters who fight him, the fight before they fight Floyd, they can fight for 15 rounds. When they fight Floyd, they get tired after 4 rounds.
Yeah, it's true. This
is facts.
Yes.
It's facts. It's energy. So I'm giving everybody a science lesson as well. For free.
You heard it there. Any students that need a bit of tuition in, come to Tunde Ajayi, listen to the interview. Anyone doing a bit of physics,
Yes.
It's all physics.
It's all physics and science. Science is the to know. That's what science means. To know. And I know what I created. My friends who I grew up with, I only train one person, 2 people other than Anthony, who are not boxers. They're 50-year-old men. And they read the article in the Boxing Monthly. They was like, Tunde, bloody hell, man, you gotta have a bit of bollocks to rest. So I like that. But they know me.
Yeah.
They know me. I'm just being myself. And Anthony Yarde is being himself. The thing about me, I tend to talk about it when I'm asked.
Yeah.
If I'm not asked, you won't even hear a word come out of me. But I will never not talk about what I believe in. I just believe it. And I believe in Anthony. I believe in Anthony Yarde. I believe Tunde Ajayi believes in Anthony Yarde. I just think that he's a special individual. He's a talented individual. Although talent is not enough to take you across the line.
Yeah.
Talent is not enough. So it upsets me really when people say, "Oh, he's so talented naturally." He ain't naturally talented nothing. You be naturally talented and don't train, and then come and fight Tunde Ajayi and Anthony Yarde. You're gonna get beaten.
Yeah, and you're gonna get found out as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
So it's not natural talent. It's the fact that Anthony Yarde wants to be the best and is prepared to put in the work it takes to be the best.
Yeah.
And we're not the best yet. We ain't. We're very realistic on where we are. Hence why we wouldn't take a world title fight against Kovalev and Batovia when they asked for us.
Yeah.
Because we know what we want to be. That's the goals that we've set for ourselves.
Yeah.
But we're very aware of where we are presently.
Yeah.
And in that respect, we're not gonna rush.
No.
In that respect, we're not gonna rush. And there's no amount of don't let me say that. But let's think about it before we start making statements about money.
Yeah.
but we want to be here for a long time. We want to be here for a long time, and we're more concerned about the legacy. The legacy means a lot for us at this moment in time.
Yeah.
The legacy means it's for me. I say, and it's great when I met Anthony that he just thought exactly the same things I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. It makes things better. I wouldn't say easier. It just makes things better because you don't have to be arguing with something. People, with your fighter on different points or opinions. So it's just like we think the same and we know what we've got to do, and that's why we work so hard.
Yeah, and the proof's in the pudding with the experience element of boxing, because I mean, you look at some fighters, you got like no disrespect to any fighters that have stepped up to world level too early, but you've got the likes of Charlie Edwards who stepped up against John Real Casimiro for the flyweight title. Got not necessarily got found out, but it was a step too far. And it's numerous accounts of boxers that have done the exact same thing, and I think as well with Anthony, he seems to, when he fights, it seems to be a methodical step, step by step.
Sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
Has Anthony Yarde got better in every single fight?
100%.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he's under a system where he's gonna keep getting better.
Yeah.
I'm in this to win. Anthony's in this to win. We're winning.
Yeah.
It's not as though we're fighting fighters and we're looking bad. Every single fight, Anthony's improving.
Yeah.
The power is increasing. The skill level is increasing.
Yeah.
I picked the opponents, not hoping, because I picked the opponents thinking that they maybe give Anthony some kind of test.
Yeah. But it's when they get in there, they're not able to adapt to sort of the aggression, sorry to cut you, but the aggression and the standpoint that Anthony takes when he's in there, the way he cuts the ring off, the way he forces the fights. I think a lot of fighters, they're not necessarily nervous when they're sort of in the head-to-heads and stuff. I think it's when they get in there and they have to accustom to a different style, or they have to show things that they may not have never seen before, and that's with the style that Anthony's probably put on them, is quite a forceful stance.
Yes, when you feel the first jab, everything changes. When you feel the first jab, or the first left hook, or the first right hand, or the first uppercut, or the first lead left hook, we can do it all. We're not one-trick ponies.
Yeah.
But what happens is when the fighters get in there, it's another thing. It looks easy on the outside. It's easy for certain British fighters who I'm not going to say, oh, I'll beat Anthony Yarde. Oh, he's easy. Oh, he's rubbish. Well, guess what? 17 people said that, and 17 people came up short.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change.
Yeah.
We've got a formula, and we're going to keep winning. And I'm confident, and Anthony's quietly confident. Anthony's not, as I say, Anthony's not a talker. And in truth, I'm not really a talker in public. You couldn't really hear me start shouting, but as I say, when you ask me questions, I'm going to answer them truthfully.
Yeah.
It's just what I believe, and I honestly want every boxer to earn a proper living in the sport of boxing, because it's such a hard sport.
Yeah.
It's such a sport which is not. I don't like to use the word hard. It's such a demanding sport. These kids have to sacrifice. Their families to come to the gym, train, give it all they've got, and that's hard.
Yeah.
So it's not only the fighter that suffers in a fighter wanting to be the best he can be, and in life you got two choices. You either look at the positive or the negative. I and Anthony choose to look at the positive. We're not looking at no negatives.
Yeah.
So everything is up, positive, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, and we've just gone. Well, we're approaching the hour mark as I speak. But 1 hour of truthful talk. 1 hour of truthful speaking.
The truth.
But yeah, there's just a few things I wanted to touch on quickly, Tunde. I know you've got a tight schedule. You know,
Yes.
I don't really like to use the word busy because I think the way you kind of plan out your week and the way you everything's structured. So just a few things. I'm going to do a little quick fire little game about the domestic scene, and just to give sort of a word or two on these particular fighters. But if you could sum up sort of not necessarily them as fighters, but the way they relate to Anthony's career. If I just reel off a few names, just give me one word that you would describe these fighters to be associated with. So the first one I'm going to be put you on the spot, Hosea Burton.
What do you mean? Like, I don't. What do you say? Sorry, maybe I didn't get. What do you say? What am I supposed to be answering?
So, as in, like, I'll read off a few names of domestic contenders that have.
I understood that part.
Yeah. So like maybe just to like assess them as fighters, and to it doesn't have to be, it can be as detailed as you want, but just to talk through these fighters and how they maybe the time that they're expected to share a ring with Anthony, or the time, or just them as fighters.
Okay, I already know. Don't need to say them all.
Okay, Hosea Burton.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Callum Johnson.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Frank Buglioni.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Joshua Buatsi.
Keep doing what you're doing.
So yeah, this is going to be the same answers. I'm going to stop that now because I don't want to. I could. Keep doing what you're doing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And talking, in my books, don't get you fights.
Yeah.
Talking in my books don't get you fights. I could say I'm better than Ronaldo. Guess what? I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not. The names you just mentioned, Hosea Burton,
yeah,
Frank Buglioni, Callum Johnson, Joshua Buatsi, they're all beautiful young human beings wanting to be the best they can be. And if it so happens they cross our path, then it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, all I know for a surety is that Anthony Yarde is 17 fights, 17 wins, 16 knockouts, and everybody he has touched the canvas.
Yeah.
So those guys who you spoke about need to know that. They need to know that interesting fact.
Yeah.
See? And then, as I said, I wish them nothing but the best. This is fighting.
Yeah.
And if you're here when it's time to turn up, show up, blow up, then we already know where it is. Lions in the camp.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a very interesting sort of revelation in recent months with the Wild Boxing Super Series and that concept, sort of that the best will fight the best, and that there is no excuses with politics, with ambitions to be world champions. It's just put in parcel that the best will fight the best, and the reward will be a world title. It will be the Muhammad Ali Trophy, Ring Magazine, whatever you want to put on it. But do you think the World Boxing Super Series for the light heavyweight division would be a perfect platform at this moment in time?
Well, sorry. Anything that brings spotlight to boxing is always going to be good.
Yeah.
I ain't putting my fighter in no Super Series tournament.
Yeah.
Because that means I'm letting another person dictate when the fighter I train and manage is gonna become a world champion. Yeah. We are gonna dictate that.
Yeah.
Anthony Yarde is gonna say yes to the managerial decision, yes or no to the managerial decisions I make. I'm not letting no one dictate our destiny.
Yeah.
No, I refuse.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, that's spot on.
I'm just being honest. You see, because the only fighter you're gonna remember is the one who won.
Yeah.
You won't even remember the other fighters.
Yeah, it's true. Like, even if you look at the cruiserweight tournament last year, I mean, Maris Bradis, for example, when Usyk beat Maris Bradis, not a lot of people, everyone forgot about Maris Bradis until then.
I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's very correct. Very interesting point that you raised.
See what I'm saying? So yes, it worked for Andre Ward, but again, Andre Ward. See, I keep saying it. The thing what separates us from any other top level fighter is our inexperience.
Yeah.
That's why Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajayi cannot be looked upon as we're like an isolated case.
Yeah.
It's a very unique case because this has never happened.
Yeah.
This. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. You know, I can't remember a fighter at this stage of his career with so much limited amateur experience getting this kind of, you know, publicity and popularity. I just cannot remember.
Yeah.
I cannot remember seasoned fighters, world champions, calling out somebody with so limited experience.
Yeah.
Hold on, we're supposed to be calling them out. They're not supposed to be calling us out.
Yeah.
So you can't put us in a category or a box as everybody else. You can't. It's just a fact. You can't, Thomas. You cannot put us. We're different. We're unique. We're like the Mona Lisa. That's a new one.
Yeah.
We are the Mona Lisa of boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using that. That's getting up. I'm putting up a picture of Mona Lisa.
That's gonna be the caption of this interview.
Yes.
We are the Mona Lisa of boxing.
Come on.
You've sorted me out. You've done my job for me.
Come on, man. You know me. It's dream and believe it becoming.
Lions in the camp.
Lions in the camp. We are the Mona Lisa. There's only one of us.
Yeah.
There ain't a team like us.
Yeah.
We're unique. We're special. You know, and I think because of that, I think it's very hard to make comparisons with us with anybody else until maybe we're 10 years deep. Then you say, oh, listen, Ton, you're 10 years deep in the game now. You can't keep on saying he only had 12 amateur, man.
Yeah. unless he's been inactive for 10 years.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I've got a right to say the things I say because it's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's just the truth, Thomas. And I'm gonna be truthful as to my dying days.
Yeah.
Because there's no amount of anything that can stop me from being truthful. I'm just telling you the facts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could all add you never know with anything like touch wood, everything keeps healthy and strong, but you never know. Anything could happen around the corner. You just don't know.
Exactly. I mean, look, I said it. People say, when is he going to fight for a world title? We don't know. Anything could happen. One of the champions may give up their belt. Something may happen.
Yeah.
As you said. And, you know, it's like, listen, the belt's vacant.
Yeah.
The governing boards have said A and B fight for the world title. Do you want to take this fight, Tunde and Anthony Yarde?
Yeah.
Guess what? This is the fight for us. This is the time. This wasn't planned or orchestrated by anybody. This was just the way it happened.
Yeah.
You understand? And then we take it, and then Bob's your uncle, AY, as I like to call him, is the world champion.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the story. And as I say, we are inspiring, and we're going to keep inspiring. And it's just, listen, man, it's all great. It's all great. And, you know, I think for the first time in a long time, you have someone that can articulate himself in a great way.
Yeah.
You have a trainer that can also do the same. You know, you can't just throw things out to me and I'm just gonna say yeah. That's no, because I do my research. I study boxing. That's my life. I don't have nothing else. And again, that's why I'm not disrespectful. I just tell it how it is. I just tell the facts. And these British fighters you mentioned, they're good fighters. But don't think that you can disrespect us or disrespect me, and then I'm gonna give you what you want. You don't work like that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to promote that. You're gonna earn it, and you're gonna talk respectfully.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna and you're gonna put the money on the table.
Yeah.
You understand? So don't think by trash talking and all that rubbish.
Yeah.
Saying that, oh, you can do this, you can do that, and then guess what? You don't work like that. Just do your job. I always say, do your job, and you reap what you sow.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, keep your head down and just stick to
do your work.
Do your work.
That's what Anthony's done.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what Anthony's done. He's done his job. He's a professional.
Yeah.
He's a professional. He's done his job very well, and I'm proud of him. And I make no bones about that. My Instagram is full of Anthony Yard's face. It's my Instagram. Andy's Instagram ain't full of my face. His Instagram is full of his face.
Yeah. You might as well control each other's accounts.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because I'm proud of him. And he's a young man. He's doing his thing. He's a shining light to many, not just in his community or where he grew up from, to many people all over the world. I mean, I receive messages from people all over the world about Anthony, it's great. It's a great story, a story which is not going to end until we say it's time. Because we're winning. Yeah. We're winners. We're winners.
Yeah, and just finally, Tunde, before I let you go, 18th professional fight. When can we hear an announcement? Keep the ball rolling.
You're gonna hear something this week.
Keep tuned. You're
gonna hear something this week.
Keep it.
If all goes well,
you
should hear something this week. You should hear something this week. I will fingers crossed you should hear something this week.
Perfect. So do you want to shout out your social media tags for the Raps on TV viewers, Tunde, just before I let you go, so that we can.
Well, my personal page, Tunde Ajayi, the number 9. 9 means a lot to me. It's Stamina for Soul's logo.
Yeah.
The number 9, it means a lot to me. So my personal page is Tunde Ajayi 9. The team, the brand, the thing that we all stand on.
Yeah.
Is Stamina for Soul. And that is on Twitter and Instagram. On Instagram, it's just Stamina for Soul. On Twitter, it's SFS Boxing.
Yeah.
I'm not really up to this. On my Twitter account, it's Tunde Ajayi again, but not the single number 9. It's 999. Police. So Tunde Ajayi 999 on Twitter. Tunde Ajayi 9 on Instagram, SFS Boxing on Twitter, Stamina for Soul on Instagram, Anthony Yard, Mr. Anthony Yard on all social media platforms. What else? We've got it. Big Ads on Instagram, Big Ads number 9 on Instagram.
Shout out to Ads.
Yeah, Big Ads number 9 on Twitter. Anything else? Facebook, Tunde Ajayi. Facebook, Anthony Yard.
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony Yard. I think that's it.
Perfect.
Don't forget Raps on TV, the one and only.
No, I appreciate that, because as a platform, it's just us giving the fighters and the trainers, it's another platform for you to get your story across. And I think as well, the way we kind of go about our business is very grassroots level, very incorporating the grassroots element of it, giving the fighters, every fighter of all abilities, all stages of their career, and a platform. So I appreciate you giving me more time than I expected, but it was very appreciative of a Sunday evening that you give me some of your time today. So I appreciate that a lot.
Can I just say one thing? There's a young kid from Manchester.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think his name is Sean Ben Mulligan.
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
He's a middleweight. Yeah, it's Sean Ben Mulligan.
Yeah.
And he messaged me. Hold on. Oh, is it Sean Ben? I wasn't being. Yeah, he messaged me.
Yeah.
And he said, Tunde, I'm not being a hater, but why don't you follow people on Instagram?
Yeah, I noticed that, but I think as well it's a good way of sort of taking any background noise, any distraction away from the focus on what you've got to do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I asked this question, and he said, you know what, Tony, after that answer, I'm even more respectful for you. But let me just clarify that piece here about why I don't follow no one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe, from my observation in boxing over the last 20 years, that trainers do not get the credit they deserve.
1,000,000%.
So my ethos is no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher.
Yeah.
The teacher is the trainer. The teacher is the manager.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. So I'm like, why don't the trainers get picked up? Why am I always hearing about fight? Yeah, you can say, oh, it's the fighter doing the fighting. No, it doesn't work like that. If you have anyone who has children, when your child hurts, you hurt.
Yeah.
You're talking about the physicality about it. So I'm like, why don't you? When I came into boxing, I'm like, I keep on hearing about the fighter, and the trainer's just there in the background, and no one will ever see it. You see the promoter, you see the manager, but the trainer is not getting the credit.
Yeah.
But yet the trainer is the one with the fighter 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So I made it a point of showing everyone. I ain't following no one. I'm not even following my fighter.
Yeah.
Because I feel that I have played as much a part in his success as he has himself.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, and you know what? When I broke it down to the young man, he was like, you know what, son, I'm from Manchester. I'm a big fan of you and Anthony. I'm a professional fighter. He's fighting December the 8th, so shout out to Sean. You know, and see, this is what I'm trying to say. I may not follow anyone, but guaranteed, I message people, I put it on their page publicly, I like their things, so it's never a disrespectful thing. I just want trainers to get more recognition.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So I just wanted to clear that up and just make that point. And big up all the trainers out there in the UK, all over the world, but in the UK specifically, who work hard. You know, Richard Sawyer, who trains at Archie Sharp, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so happy for Richard. My man, I see him with Archie from the get-go. You understand? And he's not oil painting like me. You know, and Richard, when I see Archie win the other day, and Richard, him with Archie, I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You have to pick up yourself, Richard. You understand? You have to let people know that you was part of Archie. Archie wouldn't be where he is if not because of you.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
And you wouldn't be where you are if not because of Archie. So it's a 50-50 transaction.
Yeah.
So give yourself credit. Boost yourself up. Talk yourself up. There's nothing wrong with it. And, sorry to go on. I get passionate because...
no, go ahead.
You know, I like the way trainers, we work hard. The trainers, I talk to a lot of high-profile trainers. People like Haroon Headley up there. You know, I talked to him, I advised him. I told him, get your manager's license. He got his manager's license. So, you know, we're a union as well. Trainers are a union.
Yeah.
So we got to help each other. We're all in it. We all want the best. It's not all about money. We know that. You know, but give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, most definitely.
Simple. All right, my man.
Yeah. Thomas Lyons, Raps on TV, Tunde Ajayi. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much. All the best.
Love.
Thank you.
Love.